One of the hardest things to comprehend when I started trading CSGO skins was understanding the dynamics of valuing stickered skins. This guide will try and address common misconceptions, provide you with tips and tricks to calculate sticker value with a couple of examples as well. Instead of making this video alone, I decided to collaborate with my friend CSGO Trader RobertB, who has been an active member of the trading community since 2013 and is very knowledgeable on sticker prices. Make sure to leave him a follow on Twitter, I'll put his link in the description. So a small disclaimer before we start. If you're determined to learn how to price sticker skins and have the ability to partake in discussions about selling and buying crafts, expect to spend a lot of time observing sales. While this guide may provide you with some basic information, I would still argue that being able to fully understand the value of stickered items can only be done through first-hand experience, and a lot of it. In most cases, the crafts that will retain the most of the original sticker value are old or rare stickers that are more valuable, such as Katowice 2014, 15, gold stickers, crown foils, etc. There is no unified fit-for-all set of pricing patterns to rely upon when pricing stickered guns, therefore make sure to observe and categorize your items on a case-by-case basis through factors explained later on in the video. Alright, subject 1. Item type and how often it's used in game. Rifle versus pistol versus the rest. At the very start, make sure to understand the pricing patterns percentages for stickered items differ primarily by the item type and are then influenced by a multitude of individual factors covered later on in the video. To put this into perspective, a best case scenario matching craft with 4 highly desired stickers will fetch a maximum of up to 90% of its crafting price on a rifle, while the same craft will never outreach 75% on pistols and even less for other types of guns like SMGs, etc., because they're used less in the game. So before we start explaining the different pricing factors one by one, we will cover an important concept necessary to understand evaluation. So age of the item, or the age of the collection the item is from, in correlation with the age of the stickers being applied on it. So in order to better put this into perspective, we'll use an example of a couple high tier AKs. While this principle applies for all stickers that significantly add value to the item's price, the example we use here is Katowice 14 due to its clarity. So the first item here, as you can see it on the screen, is a StatTrak AK Redline minimal wear with 4 IBA power hollows. Being part of the Phoenix collection, the AK was released in 2014, right about the time where the Katowice 14 major was held. That means that the period the supply of Katowice 14 stickers was at its very peak. While the supply was at the highest, helped by the fact that the CSGO economy and the community wasn't as developed and saturated at the time, the stickers were roughly only $1 to $10 a piece depending on the kind. Therefore, an abundance of supply was available, which meant low price per sticker, which meant more stickers being bought and applied, and more of the same crafts were made. And more of the same crafts made equals less unique of a product, and equals a lower price of the craft, and in some cases even a standardized price due to the volume of the same crafts. So tying the theoretical with the practical on the example of the AK pictured above, its price generally stands at 1.5 to 4 stickers, or roughly 40% of the crafting price. However, compared to an item from the newer collection, the numbers and pricing rules are completely different. So a StatTrak AK Neon Rider factory new with 4 Dignitas Holo Katowice 14, as you can see here. This AK was released as part of the Horizon case in August 2018. At the time, supply and availability of Katowice 14 stickers was incomparably lower than in the case of the AK Redline, resulting in arguably only 200 to 300 holo stickers available on millions of active players in 2018, as compared to tens of thousands of unapplied stickers available in 2014. Therefore, the supply of unapplied stickers at an extremely low level nearing extinction equals a higher price per sticker equals a more expensive craft and less crafts being made. And less of the same crafts made equals a more unique craft equals a higher sticker percentage return. So to tie this up, an AK Redline released when the price of an IBA power hole was $5 and then crafted for $20 will today be able to fetch 40% of the crafting price, while an AK Neon Rider released when the Dignitas Holo was $5,000 and crafted for $20,000 will today be able to fetch 90% of its crafting price. Alright, so let's get into the individual pricing factors. The first one is sticker type / popularity. The most desired stickers by far are the Katowice 2014 holos, whose total supply lasted only for a couple of days for the duration of the Katowice major tournament in 2014, hence explaining the current scarcity in the market. This is the only sticker that in some instances can fetch more than 75% of the sticker price. The non-holos from Katowice 14 are less desired and will typically fetch a much lower percentage of the crafting price in return. The Katowice 2015 holos also have become increasingly popular, and fitting crafts are often able to fetch sticker prices between 25 to 70%. Other examples of stickers that can retain good sticker value are gold signatures, crown foils, desired team holos or foils such as Tyloo Boston 2018, 100 Thieves, Atlanta holos, etc. However, these will very rarely retain as much value once applied as in the case of Katowice 2014. The next principle is item wear. Item wear will always affect retained sticker value, however in some instances more than others. Naturally, a craft on a factory new skin is more desired, therefore holding the best potential for retaining its sticker value. The more expensive the craft is, the more likely it is that the craft will be done on a low flow factory new skin. The principle of an item being the most desired in its best wear is self-explanatory. Provided the finances weren't a factor, everyone would naturally gravitate towards the best wear of their preferred item, thus making that wear the most desired. The better/more desired the level of wear is, the higher crafting value it will retain. Therefore, provided an item has all 5 levels of wares available ranging from battle scar to factory new, in almost all instances will the factory new net the highest sticker percentage in return, with a slight difference in principle applicable to items that range through level wear by color brightness rather than visual damage, which could be the Medusa, a blue laminate, Orb Asimov, etc. Next up is whether the item is stat track or non-stat track. If we disregard the fact of money, an average CSGO player will naturally choose a stat track version of an item as opposed to its non-stat track version, therefore making stat tracks far more desired. And as we already discussed, the more desired an item is, the higher the crafting price will it retain in return. In order to show this, we will use the examples of a stat track AK Neon Rider and an AK Hydroponic. Both items are highly desired, considered high tier, and used in the best wear so we can compare the cases. A stat track AK Neon Rider in the best case scenario having 4 matching Kato holos and in factory new condition will retain as much as 90% of its crafting price, while the same best case scenario of a non-stat track AK Hydroponic will net a 75% return. To reinstate this, we'll use yet another example, this time comparing the stat track and the non-stat track versions of an M4 Asimov with 4 Virtus Pro holos, a craft known for its fit of colors, a factor which we will get into later in the video. A non-stat track version of this craft will retain between 60 and 65% of its crafting value on average, while a stat track version can go for as high as 80% or even overshoot the 100% of the crafting price provided the float of the M4 is extremely better than average. Next up is whether the stickers are matched or mixed. Provided the stickers of an item are matching, meaning 4 of the same sticker, the end value of the item is far easier to deduce as compared to when it's 4 different stickers placed. The matching crafts have always been more appreciated and demanded in the community, without an exception yield a higher percentage as compared to the mixed ones. Even though we implore you to evaluate every item on a case-by-case basis, it should be noted that the matching crafts have some sort of patterns or rules and sticker percentage to be used as a crutch when it comes to pricing. While for mixed crafts, there is no such thing whatsoever. For that reason, mixed crafts should be treated with extra caution and only with a certain amount of experience under your belt, as it can be reliably evaluated only based on a gut feeling. Once again, the principle of desirability we previously talked about applies here too, seen through the fact that matching crafts are far more desirable in the community and therefore easier to sell, as opposed to the relatively undesirable mixed crafts, which are therefore considerably harder to get rid of in comparison. The next pricing factor we want to talk about is skin popularity. The popularity or overall demand of the item a sticker is supplied on plays a major part in the item's end price. 2 of the same items may have a completely different pricing method even if the rarity in game is entirely the same. To depict this, we will use 2 AKs with the same classified level of rarity, the case hardened and the hydroponic, whereas the case hardened will be used as a less desired and hydroponic as a highly desired example. A best case scenario for matching Catocraft on an AK case hardened, provided it's not a blue gem, will almost never retain even 25% of its crafting price across all wares. On the other hand, the best case scenario on an AK hydroponic will be able to receive 75 to 85% of the sticker price in return. Furthermore, the same principle can be viewed through an example of 2 AWPs with once again the same level of rarity and similar time of release. So here we've used an Orb Lightning Strike as a less desired, less popular item, and Orb Asimov as a more popular one. A best case scenario of 4 matching Catocraft on a stat track Orb Lightning Strike will net a return of 40% to 60% of the crafting value, while the same best case scenario will go up to 75% to 80% for a stat track Orb Asimov. The next factor is sticker placement. The value of a stickered item is significantly contingent of the placement of the said sticker. The spot that the sticker is most visible on is prominently known as the best spot and includes the scope for the AWP, the wood for the AK, and above the grip for pistols. The best spot yields a highest return on the sticker's value placed on the item, while the worst spot, often being the least visible one in game, yields the least. To better paint the picture, we'll use the hypothetical example of an AK Redline with an iBuy Power Holo. Provided the iBuy Power Holo is on the best spot, the play sticker will retain approximately 5 to 6% of its value back, while the worst spot will yield 2 to 3%. Even though the difference in percentages doesn't seem as vast on first sight, it is important to note that due to the high value of the stickers, it nearly doubles the value of an item when comparing the best and the worst placement, as it is the case on the AK Redline. The same principle applies to any other weapon in the game, where the sticker placed on the prime spot yield the highest and sticker placed on the worst spot will yield the lowest sticker percentage in return. Alright, next up is number of stickers applied onto the item. The value of a stickered item is highly contingent on the number of stickers applied onto the item. For popular demanded items, and provided they have 4 times stickers applied onto them, the sticker percentage can go as high to 90 to 95%, while less popular items with only 1 sticker applied to them can go as low as 1 to 2%. Keeping in mind other previously mentioned factors also play a major part in the final price. While everything previously said stands, it is important to keep certain outliers in mind that completely contradicts the pricing principle. Due to various factors, certain groups of items always tend to stand out, be it in relation to particular pricing factors we're talking about right now or any other one covered in the video. For instance, new demanded AWPs such as Gungnir FN and Prince FN, with just a single high tier Kato 14 applied on the scope, will tend to retain between 65 to 75% of the sticker's value, thus completely contradicting the general rule that applies to all other AWPs. Another example could be the Desert Eagle Blaze, with just one single high tier sticker on the best spot, which retains a much higher sticker percentage than any other pistol with the same exact sticker placed on the same exact spot. Alright, so the last factor I want to talk about is stickers complementing the color scheme. So whether a sticker complements the color scheme or not obviously plays a role in the determination of the price. But before we go into specifics with an example, it is important to point out that in the vast majority of the cases, this principle does not apply to Kato 14 crafts, due to an overlap with other previously mentioned factors like uniqueness and scarcity of the craft. However, applying it in other groups of items and stickers, we can see that a craft with 4 stickers that match the colorway of the item will retain a higher sticker percentage of the craft. An example here could be an AK Aquamarine with 4 Vox Hollows, which will retain roughly 75% of its crafting value, while a 4 times Kato 15 Vox Hollow on any other item will probably fetch around 50 to 65%. However, as mentioned, and as is the case for the majority of individual pricing factors, this one has its own outliers as well, often being Kato 14 crafts. For instance, even though an iBuy Power Holo fits an AK Redline significantly better than a 4 times Titan Holo AK Redline, Titan Redline will retain a higher sticker percentage of its crafting value due to the rarity and scarcity of the craft, with there being only 3 to 5 Titan Holo Redlines as opposed to 40 iBuy Power Holo Redlines. Alright, so here's another interesting item. This is a 4 times Crown Hydroponic in factory new. Following the recent uptrend of the market, the percentage of retained crafting value on Crown skins has increased as well. For instance, an AK Hydroponic factory new or an AK Fire Serpent in field tested or minimal wear, be it stat track or not, will now retain 70 to 75% of its crafting value compared to 55 to 65% that was unknown before. This example perfectly illustrates a trap you can fall into by focusing blindly on the pricing patterns mentioned throughout the individual factors and not taking items on a case-by-case basis. Unlike described in the rule on differences between stat track and non-stat track prices, crowned items, Kato 15 items, and some lower tier Kato 14 items can retain roughly the same crafting price on some items, thus being an outlier. Alright, so here's another interesting item as well. This is a 3 times Nip Holo plus a HR Holo on wood on a stat track AK Asimov factory new. The reason this is interesting is because it showcases the difference in pricing a craft being mixed rather than matched. So despite it being a high tier craft with generally desired Kato 14 Holo stickers, this StatTrack AK Asimov will retain roughly 50% of its crafting price, while the AK with either Nip or Hellraiser's 4 times matching would retain 85 to 90%. To include some more examples, we can take a Desert Eagle Emerald Jörmungandr in factory new with 4 flipside Katowice 2015 holos. The factors determining the price here is that it's a matching craft. It was crafted when the stickers were at $200 each. It's a popular skin with matching stickers. The value is 75% sticker price at the time of this video, so $700. This craft checks all the appropriate boxes of a high sticker price craft. In contrast to that, you have an AK red laminate minimal wear with 4 flipside Katowice 2015 holes as well. The factors determining the price here is that this was crafted when the stickers were cheap, the color scheme doesn't fit at all, so the value here is 20 to 25% sticker price at the time of this video. The number of stickers applied is a factor here in bringing the price to this point. A single sticker would net a substantially lower sticker percentage. And lastly, we have a Glock Fade with a crown foil on the best spot. In this particular example, we have 3 factors influencing the end price of the Glock, with the 2 secondary ones being the float value and the fade percentage, and the primary one being the crown foil sticker and its placement. This Glock is worth approximately $920 to $950, meaning the crown foil placed on it retained 35% of its original value, which gets added on top of the price of a default stickerless Glock Fade. It can be placed in the category of standardized crafts such as a Crowned Deagle Blaze, a Crowned AK Fire Serpent, or a Crowned M4A1 Knight, whose price has become fully clarified due to the large availability of such identical crafts made. In those cases, our best advice is to not overburden yourself with percentages, but rather check the value of your item on buff, filtered by the sticker in question, and focusing on the same spot ones. So now that we've talked about the pricing factors, I'd like to mention something that you should always do before valuing your items or before buying something. So always go on buff and check what other skins are available with the same sticker, maybe even on the same gun, or in other instances just similar crafts on weapons that should be of the same value. Let's say you're sat with an AK Redline with an iBuyPower holo on wood. You could go to sticker here, type custom, go iBuyPower, find the holo, and then buy slot, and then move it to the wood and confirm. And then you can search for Redline. You can take a field tested non-stat track, and as you can see here, the cheapest listed is $638 with a very bad float. The next one is 0.24, so a bit better float, but for $200 more. So, you know, maybe by looking at this, if you're sat with one with 0.28 float, you might want to list this for around $700. So this is just to give you an idea of the competition and what other people are asking for a craft of the same caliber. Obviously, you should not go on here and then look for, let's say you had a 0.18. You can't just come here and be like, what's the cheapest 0.18? Because you can see here, there's already a 0.16 here that is 930 before there's a 0.18. So keep in mind that when you look at this, you just need to gather some information about stuff that is sort of similar to then provide you with a better understanding of what your craft might be worth. That's the end of this video. I really hope that you found it helpful. If there's anything that you thought I didn't mention or anything you want me to touch upon in the future, just leave a comment below. Now, as a little bonus, I'll be giving away a knife. I don't know what knife it is yet. I guess that'll just be a surprise. How to enter the giveaway is by commenting the sticker percentage of these 3 guns. So you write Fire Serpent, the percentage, Vulcan, the percentage, and Glock Fate, the percentage. The guns that you have to value is a StatTrak Minimal Wear Fire Serpent with 4 Vox 15, AK Vulcan StatTrak Factory New with 4 Kato 14 Navi holos, Glock Fate with 4 Virtus Pro Kato 14 holos. Good luck, and see you in the next video.